In this video, I want to talk in a very high level of what Velorn is and what it does. So let's start it up. When you open Velorn, and if you have ComfyUI connected to Velorn, it'll launch ComfyUI for you, so you don't need to open both. First, I should say Velorn is open source. It's available for Mac, Windows, and Linux. It uses ComfyUI as the backend, so you have all the local capabilities for generating AI. Also, for generating stuff on the cloud, you just need a ComfyUI API key. So if you already have ComfyUI on your computer, this makes it extremely easy to add an editor on top of ComfyUI. Velorn will run without ComfyUI, just in case you wanted to use it as an editor, since it's free and open source. This project used to be called ComfyStudio. I had to change the name since ComfyUI is opening up a location called ComfyStudio. So now it's called Velorn. It has all the features from before, but I've added a bunch of new ones. So I'm really excited to talk about this today. All right, so this is the project selection screen. Down here is where you have all your projects. You can have them thumbnails, or you can view them as a list. Let's select this one. So this will probably feel very familiar to most of you if you ever used an editor like Final Cut, Premiere, or Resolve. So down here is the timeline, which is pretty obvious, but I'll go through a few things. Here you have, you can create video tracks, mono audio tracks, stereo tracks. You can create adjustment layers, text layers, shape layers. You can also do automatic captioning. You have tools like trim, razor, slipping. Auto would do the moving and trimming for you. Let me undo that. So that's the timeline. Yeah, you can render your sequences, and there's a bunch more settings you can do. There's some AI stuff down here, like music. If you open this up, this generates through a step. So you can give it a prompt, duration, the BPM, the key, all that, and generate music. It'll generate it for you, and it'll put it in your asset panel up here. Since we're talking about the asset panel, let's talk about that. So up here is all your assets. You can create folders, you can create new timelines here, you can create color mats, color constants. You can also down here create more timelines if you need. And when you create a new timeline, here you can set whatever settings you need. So that's the asset panel. Here's your text. You can go ahead and change this, change all the settings, and then hit add to timeline. So whatever timeline you have active is where it's going to save, and then where your playhead is. This next part here is transitions. It's quite obvious what it is. They're quite easy to use. Here you have GLSL effects. You have like grain, vignettes, fisheye, blurs, camera shakes, etc. Here are your settings. I'm not going to go through all these now. Eventually I'll make a video just for this, but here's where you would change all your settings and connect ComfyUI directly in here. A new feature here now, we have MCP, which I'm going to go through in another video, but it's pretty insane what you can do. Here you can have ComfyUI launch when you launch Velorn. Again, we'll go through that later. Up here, the viewer is what you would expect. Like if you click on a clip here, you can turn on some control points. And here you can scale, you can squeeze both ways. Let me undo that. You can rotate, the typical thing. Here, the inspector, once you have a clip selected, then you have a bunch of options here. You have transforms, obviously. You have transforms, you have some 3D capabilities, like rotating in space like that, or like that. You have opacity, you have blend modes, you have track mats, you have corner pinning, so you can turn this on, and then when you select something, you can corner pin things, which is new. I just added that. You can change the timing So you can do speed ramps. Everything here is keyframeable, and everything here MCP has access to. So you can tell your agent to do it, or you can do it yourself. You have color. Here you have the global colors. You can have shadows, midtones, highlights. And that's basically it for now. And then if you have something selected and you want to see the information here, you can go up here and see the information of what it is. So you can see that it's HD, you can see what codec it is, you can see the frames per second, all that, and the size, everything. Let me turn off those control points. So that's basically the editor part. Let me make this smaller here. Okay. Let me hide those. All right, so next thing would be generate. So here you can do all your AI generations. These are curated ones. You don't have to use them if you don't want to, but if you're gonna use them, once you click on them, if you're missing the models and any custom nodes, it'll tell you here on the bottom, and then it'll ask you if you wanna download them. So just be aware of that, because some models are very heavy, and it'll tell you what the size is. All right, so my workflows, I think this is pretty cool, but if you go to the ComfyUI tab here, you can create your own workflow, and then up here where it says save to Velorn, once you click that, there's nothing in the graph, but once you click that, you name it, it'll show up here. So then you always have access to your workflows as like a clickable, quick thing, instead of having to open a JSON file. All right, so that's that. So if you go to templates, here are all the ComfyUI templates all in one place. So you have a couple ways you can run it. So say if you want to run CDance, right? You just hit open in ComfyUI, and here you can just run it here. And whatever you render here, or I should say generate here, it'll show up back into your asset panel here in a generated from ComfyUI tab, it'll say. So everything will be generated into that folder. If you click on director in the top left here, right next to generate, these are meant to help you create multiple shot stories. So this first one is a UGC creator. Basically all you do is feed it a model and a product, and then you write a script. You can do this locally, or you can use cloud. So you have UGC creator, you have a business ad creator, which this is formatted to create 15, 30, or 60-second commercials. You also have the music video creator. This is probably the easiest way to create a music video. It does lip sync. It also keeps your characters the same throughout the whole music video. You can have multiple characters. You can assign them roles as like guitarist, singer, background singers, etc. One thing I forgot to say, that you can also add environmental references. That also goes the same for UGC and business ad creator. So it's not just character, it's not just product, you can also do the environment. So the short film creation, this is quite beta right now. I wouldn't use it, but again, the two that are working great is UGC creator and music video creation. The other two are quite experimental, but I'll get to it and I'll fix it. I should maybe go over the music video that I created with the music video creator tool. I'm only going to spend like 30 seconds on this. I don't want this video to be like 100 hours long. Maybe I should just play a little bit of it.
Shift that to one step, then you took 2 steps back. Now I'm out here chasing what you don't want back. You don't need saving. You don't need saving.
All right, you get the gist of it. I will save a link to the music video in the description. The adjustment layer is pretty great because you can add a bunch of effects on top of everything. So it makes it easier to control. So the effects I have here are like obviously the letterbox. I have film grain on top, which helps a lot. I put a film look to it. The film look is not doing that much because I lowered the blending. But the glow, I guess I turned off, but I guess at one point I had a glow like that, which looks kind of nice, I guess. And then a camera shake throughout, so it just gives it a bit more realism in my opinion. And then a chromatic aberration. So it looks like it's going through a lens. And then the vignette and halation, which is, as you can see, is like a glow, but it's a little bit different. And yeah, so creating music videos here and editing them is quite simple. If you have used editor before, this should be super familiar. Yeah, so let's move on. Next thing, I guess we can talk about stock. This is pixels. So basically you get your API key, you apply it, and you have it here. So say if you like this, oh, I didn't want to do that. So I mistakenly clicked on this one, but if you go to editor and back into your asset panel, it should show up in here. There it is. So now you have this clip, and then you can add it to your timeline if you need to. So you just get an API key, you go to settings, maybe I should show that. You go to settings, here stock pixels, you put in your API key, you come back here, it'll say, like, it'll have a button that says to refresh. Once you refresh, you'll have access to all the pixels, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, library. And again, this is just ComfyUI, the usual ComfyUI. Everybody knows what this is, so I'm not gonna go through this too much. If you sign in through here, to settings, you'll have access to see your credits up here. So as you're working and you're generating, you could always see how many credits you have. All right, so this is the export. This is pretty self-explanatory. You can do ProRes, you can do MP4s. You also have the ability to, if you have an NVIDIA card, it'll render significantly faster. Here you have all your settings. And then you just hit export and it exports it out. And you have a choice to do full timeline, in and out, and selection. So right here, you can export the XML. Maybe for some reason you want to finish in Resolve and you want to grade it. So you have that path. This XML works great. I've tried it, imported into Resolve, and it keeps all your transforms. It's great. You can also import XML. So I'm not sure if I already said this before, but Velorn uses ComfyUI in the background. So if you already have ComfyUI installed in all your workflows and everything, then you just open up Velorn, you go into settings, you point to what port is on, and then you point it to your bat file, and that's it. It'll work, and it'll connect here, and you'll be all set and able to run Velorn. So that's it. That's been a high-level overview of Velorn. Please try it. It's open source. It's free. Thanks for checking it out.